is the safeties. And you notice there's a uniform another team here because we did add a big time free agent here in Jevon Holland, who, basically goes ahead and replaces Pinnock there at the second starting position next to Tyler Nubin there. And a really big upgrade, guys. Now, he's had some injury issues as well. It's definitely when you talk to fans of the Dolphins there, he had a big injury in 23, came back last year, and some fans just said point blank he just wasn't the same player. We got Rob back here. There he is.
There I am.
So, but yeah, he's still 25 years old. He's going to be, guys. So he's just going into his prime. He's a guy that's already been borderline Pro Bowl caliber at the safety position. He is a huge upgrade, though, guys. Huge upgrade over Pinnock. And that's not me trying to be mean about Pinnock. We liked him. He was a gutsy player. He was that tried really hard player. Wasn't necessarily the most athletic in the world, but, really put it out there.
Yeah.
He's a Niner now, I believe. So all the best to him. Like I said, he definitely goes in the once a Giant, always a Giant category for me.
You can't question Pinnock's work ethic.
No. I would say he's a really hard worker. So, we just got to hope that having a guy that's more athletic, having a guy that's much better in coverage, having a guy that, has skills that Pinnock will never have, unfortunately, because of his physical limitations, his athletic limitations, that's a huge difference for us. It's just ironic that we signed, a guy a year after we lost Xavier McKinney to basically the same kind of money that we could have given Xavier McKinney.
Yeah.
That's just the one knock I have, and that's not a knock on Holland. That's a knock on the Giants. But it's almost kind of a kudos to the Giants as well. It's almost like you admitted your mistake.
It is, and it's also the way I look at it too is the cap has changed in the past 3 years a lot. And we probably could have paid McKinney.
Yeah, well, just last year we had the money to do it.
But there's also a lot of different moves that we spent around getting different people. Because
Brian Burns, let's call it what it is. It's Brian Burns. You were getting Burns if you re-signed McKinney.
Yeah, and are you happy that we have Burns now?
I like him. I like him. I got to see what Holland does with this team before I can say if I prefer what happened. It's quite a part of the equation for me now. In that,
it's hard to say because, McKinney he was one of those guys that just fantastic at what he did, and obviously he became what was he fourth best last year?
What, safety?
Yeah.
I don't know where you want to put him as far as that, but he's definitely I think led the NFL in interceptions. He was one of the best safeties in the league. That's for damn sure.
There's also in a different group with different, better corners. Yeah. So there's a lot going to it.
But I do think also the issue of McKinney was also, we got to take off the field, the locker room stuff there. I mean, he was part of the whole, breaking his hand going into ATV into Mexico. He, there was rumors of him and Wink. There was him and Wink Martindale fighting like crazy from all the rumors there.
Is that rumors? Is that true now? Because it pretty much he was not he kind of wanted to go out there from what I'd heard, and he was
never heard
back.
I've never heard him say it. I've never heard Wink say it. That's the only reason I had to say rumors, because until somebody can say point blank, yes, this is true 100%, there's no doubt, then I got to say it that way. But it's likely the truth based on all the reports you've seen. And then on top of that, the guy left New York and he still was trash talking New York and Twitter afterwards. Now, he did want to be there. He did want to be there because, you talk about what happened. And again, I would keep doing revisionist history and going back, but he did point blank call the Giants, say, this is the offer I got. Would you match it? He wanted to be a Giant. So, I don't want to bash the guy when I think he left on a positive note by doing it that way. But like I said, I do think in the back of the Giants' mind, that was part of it. I don't pretend to know Jevon Holland. I don't pretend to know his personality, how he is in the locker room. I never played football with the man before. So, I got to imagine, though, that they're hearing good things. And they think that's not an issue. He's certainly talented. One thing I just realized, too, by the way, is he's Canadian. Like, we're picking up Canadian players left and right, I feel like.
Oh, great. Don't you know, eh?
Yeah, I didn't realize that before, from British Columbia, which makes sense. That he played in Oregon, I think, right? Yeah, he played in Oregon. So, yeah, it makes somewhat sense. At least not that far.
What a hoser.
Yeah, he was a Duck. So, all right. Other guys here. And again, this is going to be the same as corner. Like, it's a good group of starters. But
no depth.
Yeah. Dane Belton, a guy that got his playing time cut last year. Anthony Johnson Jr., Jonathan Sutherland, Raheem Lane. This is another spot. I think secondary as a whole, secondary depth as a whole is going to be something the Giants should be looking at as players get cut. And we did this last year. I mean, Sutherland and Lane both came in that way. They were guys that got cut, and people tried to sneak them onto practice squads, and the Giants picked them up.
Yeah, I mean, our secondary was a big weak spot last year, and now our secondary's a weak spot.
It's the depth is a weak spot, but the starters are much better.
Yes, 100%. I was just trying to equate that. Yeah, secondary's second string. So.
The secondary of the secondary is an issue.
Yeah.
Not to make it a secondary issue.
Yeah. A thirdary issue.
Oh gosh. Anyway.
I'll say myself out.
But yeah, like I said, I think that's, it's something you got to look at as a depth thing you need there. But overall, listen, you place Pinnock with Holland. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same exact group. And Holland is a nice, a change of pace from what you have with Pinnock. He's an upgrade. Is he an upgrade from what we could have had if we kept Xavier McKinney? I feel like that's something people are going to be asking. I feel like that's going to question that's going to be happening this whole season. He's going to be kind of compared to that. But
yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, right? So you got Holland this year at the same contract as McKinney got prior, right?
Yeah, basically the same numbers.
You just kind of wait a couple years, so inflation hit, so it's cheaper.
I get it, but it's just, I don't know. Like I said, people are gonna do it when it's 1 year later. They're gonna look at the comparison there. They're gonna do that. They're gonna make that comparison. It's a fair comparison to make there. So
you just leave it up there. Stop. Jesus Christ.
Those listening on the audio, I keep posting on the video here for a split second till Rob looks a comment. That is Jay mocking him basically. Good job, Jay. Anyway.
Yes, I said thirdary. And yeah,
thirdary.
Boo, 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 thirdary. Yes.
All right.
I'll read it out. Thanks, Jay. Thumbs down, too.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.